Hi, I'm Emily with Laurastar, and I'm here to show you some key features of Laurastar and our dry microfine steam. Have you seen it yet? This is our dry microfine steam. It's a twice heated steam. It's not going to spit or drip on my fabric, and it's not going to burn my hand. So really and truly the magic of Laurastar is the steam. It's twice heated. We have a large capacity removable water tank. That water goes into our large boiler that creates a really powerful steam. That steam travels up through the hose and it actually gets heated a second time as it exits the iron. That is why our steam is so dry. The particle of steam is heated again. It's much smaller, so it's much more like a gas than a steam, okay? So again, it's not gonna spit or drip on your fabric. We can find that really powerful steam whether we have our portable lift, but this is my top of the line system. This is my Smart U, and the magic and the unique feature with the Laurastar Smart U is that we actually have a fan built into the board. So if you look here, I'm going to pull the cover back. Here's my fan and it's built into the board. So as soon as I pick up my handle of my iron, that fan is going to activate. It is always working for me, it's always on, and it's going to activate as soon as I touch the handle. There's no button to press, there's no foot pedal. It's going to be working for me. And that fan can help me out in a few different ways. So for example, if I've got a lightweight fabric such as this silk, typically I would have to take the time to smooth this out on a board, but simply by picking up the handle, that air is going to either be pulled through the board, or I can change the button and I can change the direction of the fan, and now I've created this really nice cushion of air. So with that powerful steam, I can hover that steam right over my garment, and in just seconds, those wrinkles are removed. Okay, so that is really fast and really great. But what about the sleeve, right? The sleeve is pretty wrinkly as well. I can lift up my shirt here, and I can use that powerful steam to remove the wrinkles even on the sleeve, okay? So I don't have to press, and again, there's no moisture, there's no water spitting or dripping on my fabric. It is dry. If you do garments pretty often, if you do laundry, this is going to save you lots of time because our steam is also hygienic. It can kill 99.9% of germs, bacteria, odor-causing bacteria, and a lot of other things as well. So this is really helpful. But the buttons here, typically we'd be spending a lot of time ironing it around the buttons. But because I have that fan built into my board, I can place the buttons face down. I can change the direction of my fan again, so that air is going to be pulled through and hold my fabric in place. And now, even with the silk garment, I can press and steam, and I can remove those wrinkles on the button. Okay, so that's one really amazing feature of Laurastar is our really powerful steam, and that can be used on that silk fabric. But what about quilting cotton, right? Because if I was going to be telling you that I was ironing my clothes all the time at home, I would be full of it, because this system for me really saves a lot of time as a quilter, right? So when I want to prepare fabric for a quilt, instead of getting my whole gallon of Best Press with my quilting cotton, right, I used to have to spray one layer of fabric at a time, take the heat of my iron, remove those wrinkles. But then I've got to clean a space in my studio to put that fabric to dry because it's always wet, it's always damp, it's not ready to be cut yet. But again, because my fan is being pulling that steam through, with that powerful steam, I can go through multiple layers of quilting cotton. I've got 4 layers here. And those wrinkles are removed without any spray, without any starch, without any other product. And those wrinkles are removed throughout multiple layers. So this is really fast for me. If I want to reposition, I can do that as well. And this saves me a lot of time. Now, if I still want to use starch to stiffen my fabric, I absolutely can do that, right? In almost all cases where I want wrinkles to be removed, this dry, powerful steam is really gonna help me. And again, because I have my fan in the board with my Smart U, the air is being pulled through the fabric, so my fabric is dry and ready to use. Even if this puddle's on the floor, it's not gonna re-wrinkle like other fabric will because it's dry, okay? So if I can show you a few more things, I've got samples stored in my iron storage, right? So most quilters won't use steam to press their piecing because most steam, because it's wet, would shrink or distort your fabric, okay? But really quickly here, I can get a really flat press And if you can imagine, I'm not going to have an entire stack of quilt blocks that I have to turn over and also press the top of each one. So I'm saving a significant amount of time. Okay, so I get a really flat press, I get a really flat seam just with that power of the dry microfine steam. And that's on all of our Laurastar systems and our lifts. So I can get those results in both places. The fan in my board allows me to go a step further. My seam is pressed and set all at once. Okay. If you have noticed in just this brief amount of time that I've been showing you things, I haven't been putting a lot of weight or pressure on my iron, okay? My iron is 2.2 pounds. I've got my steam controls on the right and left hand side, and so I can control the steam that way, but my handle is also centrally located over the iron. So it's gonna do all the work for me. I'm not pressing forward, I'm not pressing backward, and in fact, I'm not pressing any pressure downward at all. But in the case of fusibles, that's when most of the time I would have to do that extra work. Most irons don't get hot enough to actually fuse our fusibles. We would put a lot of pressure and weight and we would count, right? But in just 1 second, with that really powerful steam, my fusible is totally set. So that's really impressive. Whether I have a gentle touch backing, a fusible woven, a poly mesh, any kind of fusibles for embroidery stabilizers, I'm gonna be totally set, and that's really effective. Okay, so I know that's pretty exciting. The last thing I wanna show you, I think is a huge benefit, because when I'm doing my binding for my quilts, that's something that takes a lot of time as well. With the traditional iron, if I just have a dry heat, if I iron something, that's kind of what's gonna happen. Unless I hold the iron in place, that fabric is gonna pop right back up. Okay, but if I do the same thing with the steam with the Laurastar, in the same amount of time, I've got a crease that is really crisp and pressed compared to what my traditional iron would do. So this is why I think the benefits of the Laurastar really powerful dry microfine steam is something to consider for your arsenal in your sewing room.